Amina had always believed that life would get better someday. She used to imagine herself living in a quiet place, far away from all the noise and fear she felt growing up. But as the years passed, she learned that dreams did not always come true on their own. Her home was not really a home, it was simply a place where she slept because she had nowhere else to go. The people around her never understood her. Nor did they try. Their words were sharp, their actions careless, and their behavior made her feel small, unwanted, and alone. She spent most of her days trying to avoid trouble. She would wake up early, finish her chores, and quietly stay out of the way. She hoped that if she stayed silent and invisible, the day would pass without any problems. But even silence did not protect her. There were people who treated her with unkindness simply because they could. They laughed at her sadness, mocked her hopes, and never gave her a chance to live peacefully. Their behavior made her heart grow heavy, but she kept her pain inside because she had no one to talk to. One afternoon, things became too much for her to handle. Amina was trying to finish her chores when she heard a group of people calling her name. Their voices did not sound friendly. She tried to walk away, but they followed her. Their attitude was cruel that day, as if hurting her feelings brought them joy. They pushed her around with harsh words that felt sharper than anything physical. The more she tried to get away, the more they blocked her path, laughing as if her fear was a game. Amina felt helpless. She knew she could not fight back, and there was nobody there to stop them. They grabbed her arms roughly, twisting them in ways that caused her deep pain. It was not just physical pain, it was the pain of knowing that people could hurt her and feel nothing about it. They laughed at her tears, treating her suffering like entertainment. She cried, not because she was weak, but because she was tired. Tired of being treated like she did not matter. Tired of hiding her feelings. Tired of pretending that everything was fine. Eventually, they left her alone, walking away without a second thought, just as if she were an object they were done playing with. She sat on the ground, holding her arms, feeling the throbbing pain spread slowly through her body. Her tears fell quietly, and she covered her face, hoping no one would see her like this. For a few minutes, she remained completely still, trying to understand how people could treat another human being with such cruelty. She felt broken not just on the outside but also deep inside. As she sat there, an old thought returned to her. The thought that maybe she needed to leave this place forever. Maybe her life would finally change if she ran away. She had no plan, no money, and nowhere to go. But staying meant more pain she could no longer handle. She knew that if she stayed, things would only get worse. And she did not want to spend her whole life suffering. She wanted peace. She wanted kindness. She wanted a chance to breathe without fear. With trembling hands, she wiped her tears and stood up slowly. Her arms hurt badly, and she could barely move them, but she refused to give up. She went inside her room and grabbed a small bag, the only bag she owned. Inside it, she placed a few clothes, a bottle of water, and a small piece of bread. She looked around the room one last time. There was nothing else she needed. Everything in that place reminded her of sadness. She took a deep breath and stepped outside quietly. The sun was setting, leaving a soft orange glow over the empty road. She kept her eyes down as she walked. Her arms still hurt, and every step made her wince, but she continued anyway. She whispered to herself, "I just need to get far away. I need to find a safe place." At first, the road felt familiar, but as she kept walking, the surroundings changed. The buildings became fewer, and the noise of the town faded behind her. She walked past fields, tall grass, and old wooden fences. The cool wind brushed her face as if trying to comfort her. For the first time in a long while, she felt a tiny bit of hope inside her heart. Maybe this was the beginning of something new, but after some time, the pain in her arms grew stronger. She struggled to lift her bag. Her steps became slower, and her legs felt heavy. She had been walking for hours, and the sky had turned dark. Stars appeared above her, their soft light guiding her down the quiet road. She felt tired, hungry, and uncertain. She did not know where the road would lead, But she continued walking because turning back was not an option. The night became colder, and the road seemed endless. The silence around her was calming yet frightening. She had never been so far from home before. Every shadow made her heart race, but she reminded herself that even fear was better than the cruelty she had escaped. At one point, she stumbled. Her arms could not support her when she tried to catch herself, and she fell to her knees. The pain shot through her body, making her gasp. She realized she could not walk much farther. She looked around for help, but there was nothing, only open land, quiet fields, and the long road stretching into darkness. Using the last bit of strength she had left, she crawled toward the side of the road and sat down beside a small patch of grass. She rested her back against a wooden fence post and let her eyes close for a moment. Her breathing was shaky, and her arms felt too heavy to move. She felt completely alone. The world seemed too big and too silent. And for a moment, she wondered if anyone would ever care about what had happened to her. But even in her loneliness, she refused to give up. Amina had survived years of emotional pain. She had survived unkindness that would have broken many others. She had survived that day, and now she had taken her first step toward change. Her eyelids grew heavy, and she leaned her head against the fence post. Her body gave up before her mind did. She slipped into a tired, restless sleep, her heart still full of fear, but also carrying the smallest spark of hope. A long stretch of quiet road lay between her and her future. She did not know that someone kind would soon find her. She did not know that her life would take a turn she never expected. She did not know that the world still had gentle people left in it. All she knew, in that moment, was that she was free from the place that had hurt her for so long, and even though her journey had begun with pain, it was leading her toward something she had never experienced before: safety, healing, and the first touch of true kindness. Rayhan had always lived a quiet life. His ranch sat far away from town, surrounded by wide-open fields, tall grass, and the soft sound of wind moving through the trees. People in town knew him as the silent rancher. He did not talk much, did not visit many places, and rarely allowed anyone into his personal world. Years ago, he had lost people he loved, and the sorrow had pushed him toward a calm but lonely life. The animals on his ranch were his only company: his horses, his cattle, and his old dog named Rafi. To most people, Rayhan was just a man with a sad smile and a quiet heart. That night, he was driving home from town after picking up some supplies. The road was almost empty, and the sky was covered in stars. His headlights stretched across the dirt path, revealing nothing but open land. Rayhan enjoyed these peaceful drives. They reminded him of simpler days, days when life was kinder. He did not expect anything unusual to happen on a night like that, but just as he turned onto the long road leading to his ranch, something unusual caught his eye. At first, he thought it was just a pile of clothes, or maybe a dropped bag, but as he drove closer, he realized it was a person, a young woman lying beside the road, leaning against a fence post as if she had been there for hours. Rayhan's calm heart immediately filled with concern. He stopped his truck right away and stepped out quickly. As he walked toward her, he spoke softly. "Are you all right?" His voice was gentle, careful not to scare her. Amina opened her eyes slowly. For a moment, everything looked blurry. She saw a tall figure standing in front of her, and fear shot through her body. She tried to move away, but her arms were too weak. Her breath became fast and unsteady. She did not know who he was or what he wanted. All she knew was that she had just escaped from a painful place, and now a stranger was standing over her. Rayhan noticed the fear in her eyes immediately. He raised his hand slightly, showing he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said in a calm voice. "I won't hurt you. You look hurt. Let me help you." Amina shook her head weakly. She didn't trust anyone, not after all she had been through. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "No. Please. Don't. No." Rayhan took a step back to give her space. Instead of moving closer, He knelt down a short distance away so she could see he was not trying to force anything. "I understand," he said softly. "You're scared. But you're hurt. And you can't stay out here like this. The night will get colder soon." Amina looked down at her arms. She could barely lift them. Her whole body felt heavy and powerless. She knew she needed help, but fear held her like a tight rope. She did not want to fall into another painful situation. Rehan sensed her hesitation. He spoke again, slowly and gently. "I live nearby. I have a safe place. You can rest there. I'll call a nurse I know. She's a kind woman, very gentle. You'll be taken care of, I promise." His calm tone, his respectful distance, and the sincerity in his eyes slowly reached her. Amina felt something she had not felt in a long time, trust trying to grow inside her. It was small, shaky, and uncertain, but it was there. With a soft, exhausted sigh, she whispered, "Okay." Rehan nodded with relief. He carefully helped her stand, making sure not to touch her arms. He supported her weight gently, guiding her toward his truck. Amina leaned on him because she had no strength to walk on her own. For a moment, she felt embarrassed. But Rehan did not show any sign of discomfort. His movements were slow, respectful, and patient. When he opened the passenger door, she hesitated again, but the warmth of the truck and the exhaustion in her body pushed her to get inside. She sat down, breathing heavily, while Rehan fastened the seatbelt for her with great care so she wouldn't feel any pain. As he drove toward his ranch, he glanced at her every few minutes. She sat quietly, her eyes half closed, trying to stay awake. He wondered who she was, what had happened to her, and why she looked so broken. But he also knew better than to ask too many questions. People in pain needed space, not pressure. After a few minutes, he said softly, "You're safe now. I promise." Amina didn't reply, but a tiny tear escaped her eye, not from sadness alone, but from relief she had almost forgotten how to feel. When they reached the ranch, Rehan parked near the front porch. The soft yellow light shining from the window made the place look warm and welcoming. The sound of crickets filled the air, and his old dog Rafi wagged his tail, walking around them in curiosity. Rehan helped Amina out of the truck, supporting her gently as they walked to the house. Rafi sniffed her hand and whined softly, sensing her weakness. Amina looked at the dog with a faint smile. It was the first smile she had given in a long time. Inside the house, Rehan led her to the spare room. It had clean sheets, a soft blanket, and a small lamp on the bedside table. Everything smelled fresh, as if he had cleaned it recently. He placed a pillow carefully behind her back so she could sit without hurting her arms. "Just rest here for now," he said. "I'm going to call someone who can help." Amina nodded quietly. Rehan stepped outside and immediately called Nurse Layla, a trusted friend who lived in town. He explained the situation quickly, but respectfully, making sure to protect Amina's privacy. Layla agreed to come right away, knowing Rehan would never ask for help unless it was important. While waiting, Rehan brought Amina a glass of water. She tried to hold it on her own, but her hands trembled too much. Without touching her, Rehan set the glass on the bedside table instead. "Drink slowly," he said. "No need to rush." Amina whispered, "Thank you." This was the first full sentence she had spoken since he found her. Rehan nodded, not wanting to make her feel uncomfortable with too much attention. After some time, Nurse Layla arrived. She was a kind woman with a warm smile and soft voice. As soon as she saw Amina, her heart softened. "Oh dear," she said gently. "You must be so tired." Amina looked at the nurse, then at Rehan. Seeing two kind faces in the same room felt strange to her. She wasn't used to kindness. But she didn't feel afraid anymore. Layla examined her gently, making sure not to cause any discomfort. She wrapped Amina's arms carefully, gave her some simple medicine for pain relief, and assured her that she would recover with rest and care. "You're safe here," Layla said. "Rehan will take care of you, and I'll check on you every day if needed." Amina felt tears welling up again, but this time they were not tears of fear, they were tears of being seen, of being cared for. After Layla left, The house grew quiet again. Rayhan checked on Amina one more time before giving her space to rest. "If you need anything," he said softly, "I'll be right outside." Amina looked at him, her eyes tired but grateful. She tried to speak but couldn't find the right words. Instead, she gave a small nod. Rayhan closed the door gently and sat in the living room, thinking about the girl in the spare room. Something about her sadness touched a deep place in his heart. He didn't know her story, but he knew one thing for sure. She didn't deserve the pain she had endured, and from that moment forward, he silently made a decision he would help her heal, whatever it took. Amina woke up in the spare room, with soft morning light coming through the window. For a moment, she forgot where she was. The clean smell of the room, the quietness, and the gentle sunlight made everything feel unfamiliar. Then she remembered the long road, the cold night, and Rayhan finding her. She slowly lifted her arms, but even that small movement made her wince. The pain was still there, though softer now, thanks to the nurse's treatment. She looked around. The room was simple but warm, nothing like the place she had run away from. A small table stood next to the bed. Holding a glass of water and a folded cloth, someone had placed a blanket over her while she slept, tucking it in carefully so she wouldn't feel cold. She realized Rayhan must have checked on her during the night. Amina sat quietly, listening to the peaceful sounds outside. Birds singing, the wind brushing the trees, faraway footsteps of animals moving around the ranch. These sounds calmed her heart. It was the first peaceful morning she had experienced in a long time. A soft knock came at the door. "Amina?" Rayhan's voice was gentle. She hesitated for a second but then said softly, "Yes." Rayhan opened the door slowly, as if worried he might disturb her. He carried a small tray with warm tea, a little bread, and fruit. "Good morning," he said with a small smile. "I didn't know what you like, so I brought something simple." Amina stared at the food, confused by the kindness. Nobody had ever brought her breakfast before, not in such a thoughtful way. She whispered, "Thank you." Rayhan set the tray beside her and stepped back so she wouldn't feel crowded. "How are you feeling today?" "My arms still hurt," she said. "But I slept well." "That's good," he replied. "Rest as much as you need. Nurse Layla will come later to check on you." For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. Amina ate slowly, taking small bites. Rayhan stood near the window, looking outside, giving her privacy even while being present. Eventually, he said, "If it's okay with you, after breakfast, I'll take you outside for some fresh air. It might help you feel better." Amina looked at him with surprise. No one had cared about her well-being before. She nodded shyly. "Yes, I would like that." Later that morning, Rayhan helped her walk to the porch. He supported her carefully, making sure not to touch her arms. The warm sunlight felt gentle on her skin, and the breeze carried the smell of grass and wildflowers. Amina breathed deeply, letting the fresh air fill her lungs. It felt like freedom. Rayhan led her to a wooden bench and placed a cushion behind her back. "Sit here," he said. "This is my favorite spot." Amina watched the land stretching out in every direction, wide fields, grazing animals, and distant hills. Everything felt open, peaceful, and healing. She could not remember the last time she had seen something so beautiful. Rayhan sat a little distance away, giving her space. For a long time, they simply sat quietly, watching the sunlight move across the fields. Amina felt safe in the silence. Rayhan didn't ask questions. He didn't push her to talk. He simply stayed near, like a gentle presence. After a while, she spoke softly, almost whispering, "Why are you helping me? Why are you helping me?" Rayhan turned to her slowly. "Because you needed help," he said simply. "And because no one deserves to suffer alone." Anwo. Amina looked away, her eyes filling with unspoken emotion. She didn't reply, but those words wrapped around her heart like a warm blanket. Over the next few days, Amina started to settle into the calm rhythm of the ranch. Rayhan made sure she had everything she needed. He checked on her regularly but never hovered over her. He cooked simple meals and left them by her bed if she wasn't strong enough to sit outside. When he had to work with the animals, he told her exactly where he would be so she wouldn't feel abandoned. Nurse Layla visited every day. She cleaned and wrapped Amina's arms, always speaking kindly and with a smile. She told Amina not to worry and assured her she would heal completely with time. Amina grew comfortable around her, and sometimes she even smiled back. As days passed, Amina began to feel different, safe, protected, seen. One afternoon, when she felt a little stronger, Rayhan invited her to sit near the horses. "You don't have to do anything," he said. "Just sit and enjoy the quiet." She agreed. Rayhan brought a chair for her and placed it near the fence. The horses walked around calmly, their tails flicking in the sun. Amina watched them with wide eyes. She had never been close to horses before. Their gentle movements surprised her. Rayhan explained their names and personalities in a soft voice. "This one is Zara," he said, pointing to a brown mare. "She's shy, like you. But she's brave when she needs to be." Amina smiled softly. "She's beautiful." Rayhan nodded. "Most beautiful things are quiet." Amina looked down, feeling a blush rise to her cheeks. As the days turned into weeks, Amina began to open up a little more. Not everything at once, just small pieces of herself. She would tell Rayhan about places she wished to see, about how she liked sunsets more than sunrises, about how she had always dreamed of having a peaceful life but never got the chance. Rayhan listened carefully to every word, never interrupting. He treated her stories as if they mattered deeply. His eyes softened whenever she spoke, as if he were grateful she trusted him. Sometimes, they sat outside during sunset, watching the sky turn golden, pink, and purple. Amina loved those moments the most. The wide sky made her feel bigger than her pain, and Rayhan's silent company made her feel less alone. One evening, she said quietly, "I still get scared sometimes." "That's normal," Rayhan replied gently. "Healing takes time. You don't have to rush." "But I feel like I'm troubling you," she whispered. Rayhan shook his head. "You're not troubling me at all. This house has been empty for too long. It's nice to have someone around." Amina looked at him. For the first time, she saw not just kindness but loneliness in his eyes. A soft sadness lived in him, the kind that comes from losing too much. "Were you always alone?" she asked softly. Rayhan hesitated but answered honestly. "Not always. But life changed. And after that, I stayed by myself. It felt easier than letting anyone in." "Ah," Amina nodded slowly. She understood that kind of pain that makes a person build walls around their heart, but somehow, their broken pieces felt similar. And in that similarity, something gentle began to grow between them. One morning, Amina asked if she could help with something small. "Maybe I can sweep the porch," she said shyly. Rayhan smiled but shook his head. "Not yet. Your arms need more time." But she insisted softly, "I want to feel useful." Rayhan thought for a moment, then said, "All right. How about feeding the chickens? You don't need your arms much, just walk with me and throw the grain with your hands lightly." Amina's face brightened. He walked slowly with her to the chicken coop, carrying a small bucket. He poured some grain into her hands gently so she wouldn't feel pain, and she scattered it in little motions. The chickens rushed forward, clucking loudly. Amina laughed for the first time, an honest laugh, full of life. Rayhan stopped and looked at her, his heart warming. Amina looked away, embarrassed but happy. "I didn't know chickens were so funny." "Too? They are," he said. "You just have to watch them long enough." Every day after that, Amina found one small thing she could do. Watering the plants, folding cloth, patting the horses gently. Each small action made her feel stronger, braver, and more alive. Rayhan never let her push herself too hard. He guided her with patience and kindness, always reminding her that healing was not a race. As weeks passed, Amina's emotional wounds began to heal too. She still had moments of fear, moments when loud noises made her jump, or when sudden memories flooded her mind. But every time she felt scared, she looked around and reminded herself, this place is safe, this man is kind, this life is different. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Amina spoke softly. Rayhan, I want to tell you something. Not everything, but a little. Rayhan nodded gently. Only if you want to. I was treated badly, she said slowly. It wasn't just one day. It was many days. Many years. They made me feel like I didn't matter. Rayhan's eyes softened with sadness. I'm sorry you went through that. You didn't deserve it. Amina looked down, wiping a tear silently. But being here, it feels different. I feel safe. Rayhan took a slow breath, his voice steady and warm. You are safe here. As long as you are under my roof, nobody will trouble you. Amina closed her eyes, letting his words sink into her heart. She felt something she had never felt before. Hope. Rayhan didn't know it yet, and Amina didn't realize it either. But the quiet bond forming between them was becoming something powerful, something that would eventually change both their lives. For now, though, all that mattered was this moment. Two souls, both hurt in different ways, slowly helping each other heal under the soft golden light of a quiet ranch sunset. Days slowly turned into weeks, and weeks gently turned into months. During that time, Amina's life began to change in small but powerful ways. Her arms healed steadily under Nurse Layla's care, and her heart healed in quiet moments, moments made safe by Rayhan's presence, the calm land, and the peaceful routine of the ranch. Every morning, she woke up to the bright sunlight coming through her window. Instead of fear, she now felt calm. She would breathe deeply, feeling grateful for another peaceful day. Her arms still felt a little stiff, but she could move them much better now. She had even started doing small tasks on her own, like folding her clothes or watering the flowers near the porch. Rayhan noticed her progress every day, though he never made a big deal about it. He simply watched with a soft smile whenever she completed something new. He didn't say much, but his eyes always showed quiet pride. One morning, Amina walked to the kitchen where Rayhan was preparing breakfast. He turned when he heard her footsteps. You're up early today, he said with a smile. Yes, she replied shyly. I feel stronger. That's good, he said. She nodded, and he poured her a warm cup. They sat across from each other in comfortable silence. Amina liked these moments. She felt safe with him, even without words. As she sipped her tea, she spoke softly. I want to help you more from now on. I can do simple work now. Rayhan shook his head gently. You already help more than you think. You don't need to rush. This place is your home too. Rest as much as you need. Amina looked down at her cup. The word home made her heart beat a little faster, softly, not in fear, but in surprise. No one had ever called any place her home before. Hearing it now felt like a gift. That afternoon, Amina went outside to help Rayhan feed the horses. She carried a small bucket with grain inside, and Rayhan walked beside her in case she felt tired. The horses approached them slowly. Zara, the shy mare, stepped forward first. Amina reached out and touched her gently. Zara nudged her arm softly, as if greeting her. Rayhan chuckled. She likes you. Amina smiled. I like her too. As they fed the horses, Amina said quietly, Rayhan, I want to tell you something today. Something I haven't told anyone. Rayhan's face softened. He didn't ask anything, but he gave her his full attention. Amina took a deep breath. I want to tell you everything. About my past. Because I don't want to hide anymore. Rayhan nodded. You can tell me whenever you're ready. You don't have to speak today if it's too hard. But Amina shook her head gently. I want to. Rayhan's eyes filled with warmth. Then I will listen. Later that evening, they sat on the porch as the sun slowly set behind the hills. The whole sky turned orange and pink. Amina looked at the horizon, gathering courage. She started speaking softly, telling him how she had grown up in a place with no love, no kindness, and no peace. She explained how people around her had made her feel small, unwanted, and worthless. She told him how she was hurt, not with details, but with enough honesty that he understood her pain. Rayhan listened without interrupting. Not once did he look away. Not once did he show impatience. He simply let her speak and let her release the heavy memories she had carried for years. When she began to cry silently, Rayhan handed her a cloth. "You're very strong, Amina," he said. "You survived so much." Amina shook her head, wiping her tears. "I don't feel strong." Rayhan's voice was gentle. "Surviving something difficult is strength. And choosing to leave, choosing to start again, choosing to trust someone, that is strength too." Amina's heart softened at his words. For a long time, she had felt broken. But now, she began to see herself through his eyes, a brave girl who had walked a long road towards safety. She inhaled deeply. "I'm glad I met you." Rayhan looked at her with quiet emotion. "I'm glad too." They sat together as the last drop of sunlight disappeared. In that peaceful silence, Amina felt lighter, as if a heavy weight had finally lifted from her heart. As days passed, Amina recovered fully. She began helping Rayhan with bigger tasks on the ranch, though he still made sure she didn't overwork herself. They cleaned the barn together, fixed broken fences, watered the fields, and fed the animals side by side. The ranch felt alive again. Rayhan, who once lived in silence, now enjoyed laughter and gentle conversation. Amina, who once lived in fear, now walked freely under the open sky. One morning, as she watched the sunrise from the porch, she realized something important. She wasn't just healing anymore. She was growing. Her confidence returned. Her smile grew brighter. Her steps felt lighter. And Rayhan noticed every little change. One day, he said softly, "You look happier these days." Amina nodded. "I feel happier." "What changed?" he asked. She looked at him with grateful eyes and said, "Everything." Rayhan understood. Her life had transformed here because of kindness, safety, and quiet companionship. One afternoon, Rayhan took her to a part of the ranch she hadn't seen before. It was a small hill overlooking the whole land. The wind was soft, the view wide and beautiful. "This is my favorite place," he told her. "Whenever I feel sad, I come here." Amina looked around in awe. The whole ranch stretched out below like a peaceful picture. "It's beautiful," she said. Rayhan nodded. "Yes. And I wanted to bring you here because I think you're ready to start a new life now." Amina's heart slowed. "A new life?" "Yes," he said. "You've healed so much. You can choose anything now. You can stay here, or you can go anywhere you want. You don't have to decide today. But your future is yours now." Ober. Amina looked at the land, then at Rayhan, then back at the sky. For the first time in her life, she felt free to choose. Her voice trembled slightly. "And if I choose to stay, would that be okay?" Rayhan's heart softened. He looked at her gently. "You can stay as long as you want. This place is your home too." Amina felt tears fill her eyes again, but not from pain. These were tears of relief, joy, and hope. She whispered, "Then I want to stay." Rayhan smiled, one of his rare, full smiles that reached his eyes. "I'm happy you said that." Amina looked at him, her heart warm and full. She realized that she wasn't just choosing a place. She was choosing peace. She was choosing safety. She was choosing the only person who had ever cared for her without asking anything in return. Time continued moving forward. Amina and Rayhan built a quiet routine, full of small joys, morning tea, sunset talks, feeding the animals, fixing things on the ranch, and sharing stories under the stars. Amina grew stronger every day, and Rayhan found himself smiling more than he had in years. The house no longer felt lonely. The ranch no longer felt empty, and both of them felt like they belonged. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching another beautiful sunset, Amina said softly, I never thought my life could be like this. Rayhan looked at her with gentle eyes. Sometimes the best things come when we least expect them. Amina nodded, smiling. She looked at the peaceful land, at the warm sky, and then at the man who had given her a second chance at life. She whispered, "Thank you for everything," Rayhan replied in a tender voice. "You don't have to thank me. I'm just glad you're here." And as the sun disappeared behind the hills, Amina realized something deep inside her heart. Her story had begun in pain, but it was ending in peace, in safety, in healing, and in a quiet bond with the man who helped her rediscover herself. A new life had begun, one she never thought she would ever have. A life filled with hope, trust, and gentle love the world had once denied her. And for the first time ever, she truly, finally, felt at home.